Welcome back to M Hood Fishing. Today I am fishing for dog soup, and I also have, oh, where are you at?
Right here. Somewhere over here.
Ray from Rig PFA.
What's up?
Yeah, you're right. Last night I went to Salvo's and got this thing of bait shrimp here. Supposed to be small shrimp, but they always sell them in these tubs, frozen. So I let it sit out overnight. Look, we got little bait fish there too, little tiny thing. I let this sit out all night on the counter to thaw. Had to put something underneath it because I didn't want shrimpy smelling condensation going all over my counter. These are frozen in water. Definitely the bait that's gonna make it happen today. We got a 2/0 Kale. Just get that threaded on there. This is my big rod. I have 2 other rods to devote to what I want to get done, but I'm thinking if I get like a really monster black drum, might not turn that into dog soup. It is winter technically. I mean, well, sort of. It's December, right? So if you ask most people down here, they're going to tell you it's winter. So let's go ahead and get this out. 40 degrees is what it got down to last night. That's what it was this morning when I woke up at 5 a.m. It is about mid-morning now. Both of us kind of waited a little bit for it to warm up. It's supposed to get to 65 today. There's another 2/0 Kale here. I'm gonna fish this one close in, smaller piece. Just like that. It's a backwards dropper loop. The hook is where the lead should be. The lead is where the hook should be. It's a 2-ounce lead. Just do that close in. Fairly close, not far at all. Maybe about 25 feet out there. See what's hanging out. I'm putting out a 3rd rod. Under the cork, 2/0 Kale again. We have a major issue coming. It's not this barge, it's this sailboat that's coming on the inside of him. He's gonna clip our lines. He is coming fast too. Twisted Angel. What's the name of that sailboat? Gotcha. I've had several bites on the shrimp. Ray has as well. This feels like a cat. Maybe, I don't know yet. I feel head shakes, but it could. Oh, it's not a cat. It's what I'm looking for. It's just not the right size. They got to be 16 inches, and for dog soup, I prefer a big fish. Right. Okay, gotcha. So far, Ray and myself are only catching little things. Little cat, little blue cat. Wonder what this is. A little more fight than everything else, but it is not a black drum. Another little cat, blue cat.
I'm gonna reel this one up. Big black drum.
Yeah, you're right.
About time.
Yes. Things are going really, really slow. We're catching fish. I'm gonna take this one for the dogs. I'm taking the fish grips too. I could barely tell that there was a fish here. So it's getting on in the morning. Like I said, we got kind of a late start because we wanted it to warm up a little bit, and it has warmed up. I'm feeling uncomfortable. It was like 40 degrees when I woke up this morning, and now it's coming up around 60 degrees. Things are slowing down out here. They weren't really crazy, but we got what we need. Yeah, it is getting warm. We're gonna take off. Thanks to Ray for the fish. We can make dog soup. It's like both of us feel like we're about to have a heat stroke. It's getting warm fast. Yeah, you're right. Let's get this cut up and get it in the pot. I'm going to attempt to do this with the electric fillet knife. There's a soft spot where you can get up underneath the scales going this way, and then we're going to turn around about right here, about right where that head plate is. We're going to turn around, get into that cut, see if we can plunge it down to the rib cage. Problem is when you start to cut into the scales, it slows you down. It's a pain to take the scales off this. It's easier just to try to do it with the scales on and pick it up like this. There we go. Punch through the belly. Try to ride that. Because I'm making this for the dogs. It don't have to be the world's best fillet job, because I'll take what I need. But the problem is, let's see if we got that problem. This might have worms in it. Okay, I don't see any. Usually with these big drum, they have worms, but sometimes it's more so in summer. And where the worms are, the meat's gonna be bad. This does in fact have worms. So we'll see what we can get without having to use the wormy parts. There we go. I got the head off. If the meat is totally riddled with worms, I will use the head. Usually the worms exist back in the back of the fillet, sometimes mostly in the tail. You can see some right here. But we're gonna wash this off and we'll use this. A lot of times you will see people making fish stock with the head. And of course, if you're going to do that, if it's for people, and I've done it for the dogs, as you see, I've went ahead and plucked the gills, but I want to clean this up a little bit before I use it. See this right here? Those are the worms. This meat is actually absolutely riddled with them. I've seen worse. I've seen places where the worms were in these fish and the meat was just all rotten around where the meat was. I mean, the flesh was rotting around where the worms were. And it's just all the way through on both sides. This is the #1 reason why I usually do not harvest black drum of this size. And I've never used a black drum, especially of this size, to make dog soup. I was hoping my best case scenario would be what would be in front of me instead of my worst case scenario. What I was hoping for, best case would be no worms, right? But I didn't think I'd get that lucky. I was hoping that I would just, like I said, have them back here and all this would be good. But this whole fish is riddled with worms. Doesn't look rotten where the worms are, but it is just so riddled with them that I don't want to give this to the dogs, but I'm not going to make it a total waste. It's just, it's the reality of these fish. They get to a certain size, and this is not the biggest black drum out there. They're really not edible. So, but I tell you what, we could still make fish stock with the head. I just don't want to use the meat. It's just too nasty. I wouldn't even give it to my dogs. I love my dogs too much, man. All right. Some stocks actually take forever to make. Like overnight, like 24 hours. Fish stocks don't have to take that long. I'm going to get this big head in the pot. Now we're going to fill it up with water. And because I'm just making this for my dogs, I'm not going to add vegetables and other things like I would if I was making a fish stock for myself. Here we go. Water level is just over the head of the fish. And we're going to boil this for about an hour. Most fish stocks online, if you look at their recipes, 45 minutes to a little bit over an hour. We're going to put this on high, and once it starts boiling, we'll do that countdown. And we'll come back in an hour. We're just going to check it to see what it looks like. If it's thick, if I think it's going to be, you know, scrumptious enough for the dogs, we'll call it at an hour. But it's got to cool down before the puppies start, you know, getting at it. Maybe 30 minutes, maybe more. And this is where we're at. Just about to boil. A few clips ago, I made it sound like this is super easy. It is super easy to make your own fish stock. However, it can be time consuming. The recipes that you see online, most of them, they're making a smaller amount. And that's why it's like 45 minutes to an hour. But you got to account for size. This is a bigger pot. It is a monster fish head. So it's probably honestly going to take more than an hour of boiling. But we're going to check it at an hour. But not in this video. Because I got other things to do, right? I got to possibly go shoot a video here in a second. Though going to sleep is probably the best idea. We're deep into the afternoon now. It's been taking forever just to get to that boiling point. Sun is going to be down here pretty soon, so yeah. And I got to get up early and fish. So there's all these things that have to happen right now, and editing on top of that. So the whole process for me for making stock, this amount of stock, is bigger than just that hour of boiling or whatever it's going to end up being. There's all that time before and that time after. You got to let it cool down. And you got to figure out, what are you doing with this excess amount of liquid? Because look at the size of it. We're not even up here with the level. We're in the middle. That's still a lot. Some of that's going to get frozen when it's cooled enough. You don't want to put hot stuff in the refrigerator or the freezer. You want to let it cool down out here in the room. And then dip it out into your, portion it out into your containers. Don't fill the containers all the way to the top. Ziploc bags work too, but remember, if you put the liquid all the way to the top, when it's freezing, it's going to expand and it'll bust out. So you got to give enough room in your container for that expansion. Okay. And that's what I'm doing. Down below the description is a link to Homeboy's channel. Ray from Rig PFA. Go down there and check it out. Yeah, you're right. Thanks for watching, guys. Liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, being a member of the channel, and I will see you next time.